Alrighty, folks, today we are continuing our mind-body connection series. Last week, we went over integrating mindfulness into physical activity. The week before that, we went over the science of mind-body wellness. And today, we're jumping into mental techniques for improving physical performance. And next week, we're going over balancing mental health and physical health goals. So in today's lesson, we broke it into two parts. Again, we're going over mental techniques for improving physical performance. Part one is going to be visualization, mental rehearsal, and positive self-talk for fitness goals, that is. And part two is practical exercises for boosting motivation and focus during workouts. So again, my goal with these lessons is to provide you guys with concise information that you can take practical tools and protocols and improve not only your training, but your life as a whole. And I often talk about how important it is to get not just your trading life. A lot of people segment their life into different categories. It's not only important to lock in on your trading side of things when it comes to your risk management plan, your strategy, studying, your personal finances, the whole thing. On that side of things, you also have to work on discipline and the psychology of your life as a whole. Because if you are lacking in one area, I promise you, it will bleed into every other aspect of your life, including trading. You cannot be disciplined in only trading. You have to be disciplined as a whole person. So when we talk about developing discipline, we often talk about fitness. And this week and this month, actually, we're going over the mind-body connection and how important those two are. So without further ado, folks, let's jump into it. And I've also, one more thing before we jump into it. I drew a lot of this information from general research on mental performance techniques commonly applied in sports psychology and physical training. And then some more specific stuff when we get into the cognitive side of thing is drawn from Dr. Andrew Huberman, a neuroscientist and biologist at Stanford School of Medicine. So let's jump into it, folks. Part one, visualization, mental rehearsal, and positive self-talk for fitness goals. So let's talk about visualization. So visualization is a practice of mentally picturing yourself achieving specific fitness goals or successfully performing movements, creating a mental blueprint for success. So when we talk about visualization, we have to understand it's not, it could be a form of manifestation, but it's a bit deeper than that. It's a bit more physiological. It's a bit more scientific. When you actually picture yourself doing a certain movement, you are priming your nervous system essentially for getting ready to perform that movement. In the same way you might think about throwing a punch and how you will turn your body into it, or swing a baseball bat, or whatever specific movement you are trying to do. If you visualize it first, your body is more primed to do that action. So that's the scientific aspect of it without getting too much into the nitty-gritty. So visualization primes the mind for action, helping to build confidence and prepare the body to follow through with the desired performance. So a beneficial technique that you could use when performing something, if you guys ever went into CrossFit or did any sort of Olympic lifting, or surfing is a good one for me. I often talk about mental rehearsal when it comes to surfing, but especially with Olympic movements, before you really get in tuned and it becomes muscle memory, a lot of times doing something like visualization really does help your body get primed for that movement. And then you do it without the bar, then you do it with the bar, and then you warm up, and then you do your full weight. So that, a practical side of things really helped me when doing movements. And if you're trying to get into the gym for the first time, I highly recommend, I will help you if you just DM me, come up with a personalized fitness program. But maybe you just find one offline, just research on YouTube quickly how to do the movement. Then when you get to the gym, all you have to do is visualize yourself doing that movement. You're primed to do it, and then all you have to do is execute. And I know this stuff sounds, potentially a bit elementary for some of us, but for some of us, this stuff could be the difference between executing and not executing. So when we talk about overall fitness and performance and just health as a whole, doing the thing is the only thing that will get you better. It doesn't matter if you think about it all the time, if you plan about doing it, only doing the thing is what actually makes a difference when it comes to your health. So if visualization is the tipping point for you to perform the movement well, I highly encourage you guys to practice visualization. So moving on from visualization, I often think about mental rehearsal, the next part we're getting into, as very comparable to visualization, but it's a little bit different. So the definition for us is mental rehearsal involves mentally practicing a sequence of movements or an entire workout before physically executing it, helping refine skills and build muscle memory. So mental rehearsal is essentially the same thing as visualization, but in the definition I found in scientific literature, it involves a sequence of movements. And that's really essentially the only difference I could find. And I used to do mental rehearsal when I was first starting to learn surfing. And to be honest with you, I haven't been surfing in a couple months, living out in Alabama now. So next time I get in the water, I can assure you that I would be mentally rehearsing how to pop up on the surfboard when I catch a wave. So that stuff really does help, and it really helped me when I was first getting into surfing. And so if you're trying something new and potentially even learning an instrument, anything involved with fine motor skills or large motor skills, it is beneficial to run through either visualization or mental rehearsal. So I won't touch too much on this. I think you guys get it. This technique enhances coordination and focus, reducing anxiety and improving performance. Practical exercise for us. Prior to an intense workout, mentally walk through each exercise. Visualize the form, rhythm, and flow, rehearsing each step to feel prepared and focused. Same thing, a fighter might do before entering into a bout is mentally visualizing their opponent and rehearsing what they might do, to counter this move or that move. And so this stuff really does help, and a lot of high performance athletes use it, and they're taught it from their sports psychologist. So jumping into positive self-talk, again, I often talk, this whole series is about the mind-body connection. How you think truly does influence your physiology. The actual biology of your body reacts to the thoughts that you have. So there's little electrical signals, whether it's negative or positive self-talk, in your head. You don't even have to say the words out loud, will influence how your body reacts to certain things. And the crazy thing is, when you think negatively, your body responds negatively, and on vice versa, when you think positively, your body reacts positively. So it is, we're going over this whole thing in psychology in those classes, so I don't want to jump too much into it, but positive self-talk is so influential, and you guys have to be doing it if you want to change your patterns. Potentially, you just want to be happier overall. I could say a couple years ago, before I was practicing things like, regularly working out or gratitude practices or praying, my baseline was pretty unhappy. I wasn't a super happy guy. As soon as I started practicing daily gratitude and working out consistently and just being grateful for the things that I was a part of, and, even the little things, and sitting down and thanking God for my meal before I ate every single time, those little shifts that happened 3-4 years ago, now my baseline today is happy. Like when I wake up, it's normally happy. Like, sure, I could be a little tired, a little irritable, but as soon as I, shake off the jitters, I'm good to go. And my baseline is happy through. And those techniques took a lot of practice and hard work over time. But I promise you that those habits are more beneficial than you might think. And I highly encourage you to start. So jumping into positive self-talk. Positive self-talk is a practice of using encouraging and affirming statements to boost confidence and motivation during physical activity. So, positive self-talk helps overcome mental barriers, reduce fatigue, and keep focus during challenging workouts. And you can often, positive self-talk, I often think about the kid who's really, really nervous. Potentially they're learning how to skate and it's their first time dropping in, and you see them hyping themselves up and getting ready to do it, and they finally do it. And that is not they're not in a headspace of like, I can't do this, I'm not going to be able to do it. They're hyping themselves up mentally. Maybe they're saying it out loud, maybe they're they have encouragement from their parents or friends around, but that is a mental barrier that they have to talk through themselves. So they can't just, if you are saying, I can't do this, I'm going to fall, it's not going to work, you're not going to take that step out. The same way you could apply that to trying new skills as an adult. Maybe it's, making a new friend. Maybe it's, approaching that person at the coffee shop. Maybe it's going surfing for the first time. Maybe it's going into the gym for the first time in years, if ever. And those mental barriers that we create for ourselves, first of all, they're an illusion. They're not doing anything good for us. I can promise you that. But knowing that there are these mental barriers is super important. But what I would argue is a little bit more important is having that positive self-talk. When you approach that barrier in your mind, saying, I'm not going to be able to do this, or maybe you're trying to start a business, what if this, that, and the other happens? I'm going to fail. It's okay. If it fails, it fails. It is what it is. But this positive self-talk to get you to be able to take that risk is what is so, so important in life. And again, we can get, a bit more deeper here and talk about how our time is so short and we should be taking those risks. But back to what we are talking about when it talks about physical activity and stuff, these mental barriers that we create for ourselves, they're an illusion, and we have to be able to, work through those. And potentially, I would argue the only way to do so is through positive self-talk. So practical exercise, these are some elementary ones that I have drawn up here. Try developing a few affirmations for yourself. If, potentially starting a new workout, say, hey, I'm strong and capable to be able to do this. Like, potentially you have a lower back injury that you're really worried about. Of course, set yourself up for success. Have, every program that to be successful for other people to work through back injuries. But, setting yourself up and saying, I'm going to do everything I can do. If my back starts to flare up a little bit, I'm going to back off. Instead of sitting here saying, my back is hurt forever and I'm not going to be able to do anything that I want to do, and I'm not going to be able to progress. Well, you're wrong, friend. I promise you there is progression. From just speaking on my own terms, I have dealt with many, many, many physical injuries, and I'm still currently dealing with many physical injuries, and there is always progression to be made. And I can tell you from experience, sitting there and saying, I'm stuck with this and I'm not going to be able to progress. And I'm, it's just, it is what it is. And, I'm not going to be able to do the things I want to do in life. It's just a way to really set yourself up for failure, not only physically, but mentally. And that affects every aspect of your life, including your relationships. And I would argue relationships are probably the most important things in life. So try developing a few affirmations for yourself. Like if you really do struggle with getting out of bed in the morning and going to the gym, when you're in the gym, it's just saying, I can push through this. It may really suck in the moment, but I always feel better after, and just doing it. Or maybe it's a cold shower. Maybe you're trying to get into taking a cold shower, or any sort of deliberate cold exposure in the morning, just saying, hey, this is not physically harming me. It's just really uncomfortable. I'm going to feel so much better when it's over. I can push through this. Those little hurdles that come up in your head, that self-talk is what helps you jump over them. So highly encourage positive self-talk when dealing with any sort of physical thing. Excuse me. So that was part one, folks. We're going to jump into part two, which is practical exercises for boosting motivation and focus during workouts. So we have goal setting and progress tracking and focused breathing techniques. It's pretty straightforward stuff here. Excuse me. All right. Jumping into it. Goal setting and progress tracking. So setting clear, achievable goals and tracking progress can improve motivation and keep you focused on long-term fitness achievements. So goals are important, but I want you to take that with a grain of salt, a caveat, whatever you want to call it. I often refer, when talking about goals, to a Atomic Habits, James Clear, his book, he really well puts it, or he puts it in a really good way for us to understand, or at least I understand well, is that everybody at the start of the race has the same goal: to win the race. The same way you might have a goal of starting a business and being successful in that business, or maybe it's going and, hiking or climbing Mount Everest or Kilimanjaro, whatever it might be, or K2, even more dangerous. When we talk about these goals, everybody who sets out has the same goal, but we do not rise to the level of our goals. He says that we fall to the level of our systems, our structures, how we set up our daily habits to reach those goals. That's what we're going to fall back to. So yes, it is so important to set clear and achievable goals and work backwards and understand how to get there. But what is more important is how you set up your systems to achieve those goals. So if you want to apply something like this to your trading career, let's work backwards. Say this month, let's call it an eval account. Let's start from a beginner. I'm only a month into trading. I've got one eval, maybe two, and I blew them both. This month, I'm not going to focus on passing the eval. I'm going to focus on hitting $1,000 goal this month. And you work backwards from there. What is that? If there's no holidays, it's like, okay, I have 4 weeks to make $250 each week. Break that down a little bit more. Daily goals is a little bit hard, just because if you set daily goals, you may start to place trades in bad price action when there is no trades. So daily goals are good, but just having the discipline to understand that not every day is going to give you the setup that you look for. So having that is a good place. But essentially what I'm saying is set these achievable goals and work backwards, and then develop the structures and habits to achieve those goals. So for instance, how am I going to reach my $250 a week goal? Well, first of all, I need to know my strategy, what my entry, what entries I'm looking at within this price action. And then from there, once you understand your entries, what good price action looks like for your model, everything starts to line up and make sense. Okay, now I know how to get in, where I should aim for, and where to get out. I need to set up my risk management plan. And that is very simple. Get a piece of paper and a pen and write down, all right, I'm shooting for $250 a week, which means my goal per day is $50 if we're setting daily goals, meaning I don't want to lose more than, $40 a day or whatever it might be for you. I know that's a small number. We can do the $250 a day or a week rather, and say I don't want to lose more than $175. And that would be your goal, or your risk management plan, I should say. And as soon as you hit that drawdown that you've set for yourself, $175, $200, whatever it might be, as soon as you hit that, you have to have the discipline to say, you know what, that was my rule. I'm not going to break my rule. As soon as I hit it, I'm not trading until next Monday. Cool. Let's move forward. Those are the systems, those are the habits that you need to develop to become a consistent and profitable trader. If you are lacking goals, if you are lacking systems to set yourself up correctly, and you're lacking the rules to follow, I can assure you, you are not going to make it long term. It's just not sustainable. It's just not practical. You cannot find consistency without prioritizing risk management and rules for yourself. The same way that any goal that you're trying to achieve has to be made is through discipline and the systems that you set yourself up for, the habits that you create on a daily basis. So practical exercise when it comes to fitness. Write down your fitness goals and break them into smaller, measurable milestones. Review your progress regularly and stay motivated and visualize the path to your main objective. So if you're trying to run a marathon in 3 months, how are you going to break that down? You're going to have to do long days, you're going to have to do short days, and you're going to have to do medium runs. And seeing each one of those times improve, and then the longer runs get longer, the shorter runs get faster, the medium runs get faster, you start to really find a groove for yourself. And if you're tracking that, you can see true progress. Like, hey, me staying disciplined and waking up at 6 a.m. every day to go for a run is really paying off. And this is what's setting myself up for success. And I know this sounds elementary. It truly does. But this is the same stuff that we teach our kids. And we would teach, anybody trying to achieve a goal. But are we actually implementing that stuff in our own lives when we set out goals for ourselves, like passing an eval account or cashing out for the first time or opening up an Enliven account for the first time? I mean, this stuff really does matter. And if you don't have the foundations made correctly, you're really setting yourself up for failure. So our last point here, when going over practical exercises for boosting motivation and focus during workouts, is focused breathing techniques. So controlled breathing keeps the mind calm and helps maintain focus during strenuous activity. For me, I have two clear examples. I don't run anymore due to some injuries, but when I did, it was, depending on how fast I was pushing, it was an inhale every 4 steps and an exhale every 4 steps and repeat. And then as I would speed up, it was an inhale every 3 steps, exhale every 3 steps. And, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, that number. And then if I'm really pushing, it's every 2 steps. I'm inhaling every 2 steps, exhaling every 2 steps. So the same thing, another example is when I'm swimming. When I first start out, it's typically 4 strokes and then I breathe. And then as I start to push further and further, it's 3 strokes and then I take a breath, and then it's 2 strokes and I take a breath. Usually don't get down to 1 stroke unless I'm, doing a HIIT workout or something, really pulling for that air. But, when it comes to fitness, breathing techniques while you're in the exercise really does help. One, maintain focus. You can, pull away from your focus on the strain on your body. Maybe it's your legs are really tired. For swimming, it's like your whole body's tired, but it helps you pull that focus away from what's hurting in your body, and it brings it to just your breath, and you're able to focus on that breath and just push and push and push. That's what helps me. Maybe you'll find something different for you. But again, a lot of this information I drew here is from general research for mental performance techniques, and it's commonly used with sports therapy and whatnot. So highly encourage developing a focused breathing technique when you work out, especially during cardio. So practice rhythmic breathing, such as inhaling for 2 counts and exhaling for 2 counts during each movement. This helps you maintain focus, stay relaxed, and control energy expenditure. And just a quick caveat for us who have not done cardio or hard workouts consistently in the past, don't focus too much on the breathing though. When your body needs oxygen, it's gonna breathe. Don't try to control it when you're really huffing and puffing. Let your body do what it knows how to do. But if you're just, pushing your heart rate to 60, 70, 80%, yes, focus on your breath and control that breathing into a rhythmic size. But when you're really pushing during those HIIT workouts, let your body breathe. Don't try to slow it down. So by incorporating mental techniques like visualization, mental rehearsal, and positive self-talk, along with structured exercises for goal setting and focused breathing, you can boost motivation, focus, and overall physical performance during workouts. So again, that's all I have for us today, but a lot of this is directly applicable to your trading career. I know we're talking about wellness, and we're talking about, this month, our mind-body connection, and how important both of those, the healthy your body is for your mind and the healthy your mind is for your body. They work interconnectively. I think too often we separate the two and we try to diagnose our mental health, and then, without looking at the body and your physical health, and vice versa, like you're having these physical ailments and you're not paying attention to your mental health. These two are not separated. They are intertwined on a level deeper than we probably understand. And more are we finding information. Like just a few years ago, we found neurons in our gut. We thought neurons were only found in our head. Pretty crazy stuff. And a ton of research came out after those findings, how when you eat, it truly affects, of course, your mood because of the release of different hormones and whatnot. But I don't want to go too much in the jungle here. It's fascinating to me, but how quickly food affects your mood and your mental state is fascinating. And we're just finding out more and more stuff. On a deeper level, more practical level that makes sense to most of us is they did a short study tracking judges and their sentence, how harsh their sentencing was before and after lunch. And I'm talking about things like the death penalty and life imprisonment. And they found that right after lunch, regardless of the case, the decision of the judge was always better for the convicted after lunch, after they had something to eat. So, thinking about our mental state, like this study goes and proves, holy crap, our physiology is so much, or is affecting our mental state so much more than we might think. And like when you're hungry, yeah, I'm hungry, but there's a term hangry for a reason. This stuff is truly affecting our mental health, and vice versa. Our mental health is affecting our physiology. So this stuff is important. I think too often this stuff gets gleamed over and we really don't pay attention. So that's what I'm trying to do, is draw attention to this stuff and just promote overall health, not only for your mental state, but your physical state as well, and how the two play off each other. So hopefully this was not too long of a lesson for us, not too bad on time-wise, but this stuff's important, folks. So I highly encourage you guys to go work out today, go drink water, that is, go eat healthy, go tell your loved ones that you love them, and just go do the right thing, folks. I mean, this life of ours is very short. We think too often that we have more time than we really do. So think about it. If this was your last month here, how would you spend your time? With who would you spend your time? Ask yourself those questions. What's up, Deep? What's up, Greg? Hopefully you guys are doing well. It goes fast, man. I'm young, but I know tomorrow's not guaranteed for me either. So I could be as old as I will ever get today. So this stuff goes by in the blink of an eye, and we ought to focus on this stuff. So I appreciate you guys a ton. I really, really do. And I care about your health. So if you're struggling mentally, one, there's help. You're not in this alone. I promise you can reach out to me. You can reach out to Jojo. You can reach out to Braden. We talked about as a team often, how we are truly here to help you guys. And then, on the other side of things, you have to be taking care of your body if you want to promote your mental health. And think about it. If what you are doing right now, if the past 30 years old, muscle atrophy takes in true effect, where you are losing percentages of your muscle mass every single year, and it becomes exponential as you age. So if you are not doing any resistance training right now, and you're not getting enough protein in, and you're eating too much glucose, your body will suffer tremendously as you age. And think about the oldest people that you know in your life. Are they healthy or are they not? And I promise you, their mental state is entirely dependent at that age on their physical state. I shouldn't say entirely, but holy crap, do I meet so much more spry, happy, interactive, people who are filled with joy, who at 60, 70, 80 years old, who are mobile, who are able to move because they have not neglected their body over the years. And then on the other side of things, the people who really do neglect their body and are really overweight or really underweight and are really struggling physically, also really struggle mentally. And they're not able to get around, and they're not able to play with their grandkids, and they're not able to do the things that they want to do. So if you think going to the gym is just for the gym bros, and it's not for you, I promise you, the more and more scientific literature that we read and these amazing studies that are coming out are screaming from the mountains at every person, regardless of age. If you've never, ever done resistance training in your life, start resistance training. Focus on protein. Cut out, you need carbs, but cut out excess carbs. This stuff's important, folks. And then it's just, we're struggling in most of the earth right now for, especially America, for taking care of our bodies. So hope you guys really do know that stuff. And appreciate you guys tons. And I hope you have a fantastic day. Peace, guys.